This water looks like the water in Houston. So, welcome back into the Bearded Bros Golf Show. I was pretty sure after they moved the Chevron Championship over to the Woodlands right outside of Houston that we weren't going to see scenes like that, but they were able to improvise, dredge out a little creek, create a little dock area out there on the 18th green. So we got to see a repeat of that, of this original scene. This clip came from 1988, and so Lilia Vu capturing her first major and second tournament in her professional career, in short order becoming a star, came down to a playoff hole between her and Angel Kim, or Angel, gosh, I'm blanking
Yeah,
already. We're going to call her Yin, Angel Yin. Both Americans, battled it out, and Yin threw it in the water on 18 after kind of either hitting her 5 iron fat going into the 18th green on the first playoff hole. So, fantastic finish. What do you think about the move? After 51 years at Mission Hills in California, we have a new venue and, new fields, new views. What do you think of it?
yeah. Um, I mean, I guess anything to grow the game and put new eyes on it. So no problem with that. But I mean, when you're messing with lineage, like I feel like you got to make sure it's going to be a spectacular course and make sure everybody's in agreement that it's a fun course. And because they're going to try to do the same thing with this course. They're going to try to make it last a long time. They're going to try to make it a venue that's going to be a standstill, not have to move around a lot. So um, if the right people are involved and I think they're going to keep, improving the Carlton Woods course, then I think it's a good move. But I mean, it's going to be awkward for a few years going from, California in the same course we've always seen, the same par five that's, a risk reward hole. And then, of course, we have the manicured pond right next to it that plays right into the hole, anyways. So, just having the change is going to be a little different. But I mean, overall, I like it. And congrats to Lilia Vu. She putted her butt off that final round again. Went
Yeah.
four under. So, she pretty much went out there and earned it. And Angel Yin, helped her out a little bit. So I think all in all, it was a really good week for the LPGA still.
Yeah, even Angel Yin had a good chance to. I think 4 holes out, she was up one stroke, and then went
Hmm.
into 16 and really just started losing it. Regained her confidence on the 18th hole. Was able to landed on the green in two and had a putt for eagle to win it outright, and then ended up coming back with the clutch, birdie putt to end up in that playoff. But I know I hate seeing, athletes struggle coming down the stretch mentally, and you could see her
Hmm.
struggling and losing some shots, making some tough decisions, hitting it out of a bunker, going back and forth with her caddy, and really not being confident in her decision making. It's kind of like watching a kicker go down to the end, of a football game and it all landing on his foot. I
Right.
hate that. It just makes me uncomfortable. I think even one of the broadcasters mentioned that their heart was beating just as hard, on those final putts on the green. So congrats to her, to Lilia Vu for, really, having a hell of a year. Hopefully, as we
Right.
seen even on the PGA Tour and LPGA Tour, players coming and going, winning, and then, maybe not being able to keep that going. Even when they went through the list of winners of this event for the past 5 years, it's been first time winners, but we haven't seen a crap ton out of those ladies after the fact. And we see kind of similar things on the PGA Tour where somebody gets their first win and we don't see them coming back around for a while. So I hope that she's able to keep the good play going and
Agreed.
continue this run of success. And the LPGA is off to their first major of the year. I just thinking about this, I don't really have a strong opinion one way or another, but they have 5 majors. What do you think about the men having 4 the ladies having 5 on their end. Do you think it makes a difference? Do you think they should? I don't know. They've been at 5 for a while. Do you have a feeling one way or another on 5 versus 4?
Uh, I I mean, I think the LPGA season is a little bit more. I feel like stretched out. I feel like everything with the PGA is so manicured and so organized. I feel like the LPGA always is kind of, unfortunately second fiddle and fumbling and kind of stumbling to get kind of things going. So they're really trying to fit a lot of things in. So like the Evian, the fifth major, I like it being at the end of the year about September or something like that. Just something to get our eyes back on LPGA, because just like what happened this beginning of the year, you see them for a few weeks and then they'll be off for 2 or 3 weeks and they'll be kind of put on the
Right.
back burner and everything like that. So I feel like five majors plays into it very well for them because the PGA doesn't need another major to get the attention and views that the LPGA does. Because of course we have the players, the unofficial fifth majors, then we have the FedEx playoffs, then of course we have, at the end of the year, Ryder Cup or President's Cup. Then right after that, we still have off-season field events that start right back up. And then the European tour events go longer in the year. So I feel like when it comes to the males' point of view, there's always some premium type golf going on as compared to the LPGA, which has a little bit of a more of a lull in the season. So I feel like they need a little bit more electricity with the fifth major.
It's a fair point, and I think they made a really concentrated effort this year to get them on TV. Getting them on NBC during the day when the males would typically be playing. They are going up against the Zurich Classic, which honestly just wasn't a super well attended event just when you watch it on TV. And I don't know how that course sets up for spectators, but you had a few key groups that were out there, some names that you did know. Per the usual, Schauffele and Cantlay came back, but I was super proud of the LPGA and PGA combining and with NBC to get them as much TV coverage as they possibly could, and I think the product ended up holding up pretty well, especially coming down to a playoff at the
Definitely.
end. So that swings over to the Zurich. Talking about team golf, and we crap on Live all the time for their overindulgence on the team aspect. We have a team event on the PGA Tour that's been in place for a lot of years. I typically don't watch a lot of it. This weekend shaped up where I was in front of the TV quite a bit, and I ended up catching a fair amount of it with the stories with Sung J M and Keith Mitchell coming down the stretch
Yep.
and them becoming fast friends, seeing if Schauffele and Cantlay could repeat, seeing if the Fitzpatrick brothers could end up earning Alex Fitzpatrick at least a start in the next event. Had they come in the top 5 of this event or won it, he would have secured a PGA Tour card, but they were not
Right.
able to do so. Probably shows that he needs to put in a little more work to earn that card. Honestly, just straight up earn it on his own. But again, Zurich, not a huge event in my eyes. I'm not a super fan of team golf. It's a lot of you know. It's just not. It's not for me. I'm not a
Yeah.
team golf person.
Hmm.
I do like the President's Cup. I do love the Ryder Cup. It'll be interesting how that shakes out this year, as Zach Johnson came out and said that he was not going to fully rule out that live players could participate in the Ryder Cup this year. So that would require some captain's picks and waiving some of the qualifications. So what do you think about Zurich? We'll start off there. What do you think about the Zurich overall as an event? Do you ever watch it? Have you ever sat down and watched, I don't know, Sunday primetime coverage of the Zurich?
No, I mean, but that's kind of like personal because I don't personally like foursomes. I've never liked foursomes. Feel like it's a very elongated way to play best ball. Feel like if they were gonna do the alternate for four ball, I feel like instead of doing so on Thursday and Saturday they do four ball, on Friday and Sunday they do foursomes. I think
Yeah.
they should do like a shamble, a modified shamble type feel where all four tee shots still go out. We still get a chance to see everybody drive the ball. Then you pick from there. and then you might do an alternate shot from there, or you play best ball from there. But I feel like when you play foursomes, it's just not as exciting as the four ball, of course. You're not seeing 62s and 60s and 59s and everything like that. You're not seeing everybody get a chance to go low. You're seeing the team aspect, and not everybody has the chemistry that Alex and Matt has, or that Xander and Cantlay have. So I think
Yeah.
sometimes that's a little bit unfair. So I think if they got a chance to all tee off and still stay in a rhythm and things like that on Friday on and then on final round Sunday, I think that would be play a lot better. But I think what makes the Zurich still go is that we only get it this one team event a year, and we get to build up to it. But I feel like that's why we should keep the match play. I hate to harp on that again, but I feel like that's why we should keep the match play because
Yeah.
we only get it once a year. I feel like it's something to build up to, look forward to every year, just like we do with the President's Cup, just like what we do with the Ryder Cup. And I think those being end of the year events is why we look forward to those team events and that match play. So I think everything has its own little bubble and reason why it's has its own impact. I feel like they should do just like what we were saying with the Pro Am for Pebble Beach. Feel like they just need to make it a little bit more gravitational for everybody to enjoy it more. It being team, it being fun. Why don't we do like the entry songs and stuff like that, like they used to do? And then,
Right.
just make it more fan friendly. I mean, maybe celeb shots or something like that. I don't know. I'm just
It's a
get fired up.
yeah, it's a quiet event, but every as we say, every week is not going to be a prime time
Right. And
event for
every week is
golf.
not going to be a home run.
Yep.
You're right.
And you also don't, if you're competing with the LPGA, your affiliate, you don't want to, cannibalize their views as well.
True.
So it makes sense to have a softer event. If you have a preference and just want to watch PGA Tour, you have an option to go watch it, but you also don't want to have some elevated event, and that's also part of it as well. You come off the Masters, then rolls into the RBC Heritage. It's tough to have 3 weeks in a row where your big names are going to be there. So I think it's fair. It's always going to be kind of a second or third tier event on the PGA Tour. So
Agreed.
no shame there at all. But then that rolls into the other question, which is Zach Johnson introducing live players, or not completely ruling out live players participating. And I feel like he's hedging a little bit here. Maybe to say, hell, if Brooks Koepka comes down the stretch and keeps playing like the monster that he is, does he qualify? Does it make sense
Right.
to put him in the team room? People that aren't as divisive, DJ. All we always talk about him
Yep.
being great with other players. Does he fit in the team room if his game starts shaping up near the end of the year? There's a handful of names I think this week. I didn't even look at the final stats, but when I looked at Live on Saturday night, or what would have been Friday night rolling in Saturday,
Hmm.
Taylor Gooch was like whooping butt. Dude was up
Yeah.
by 8 strokes on the field. So, again, maybe he's just leaving the door open for the possibility that some of these players end up playing very well. He's able to add them to the team, and it's hey, I said it early on in the year that we were going to allow this. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like it's kind of BS for him to not do it and just kind of do the line in the sand, or is this kind of an olive branch to hey, we may consider this down the road?
I think it's like a good way for Zach to look like a good guy, but ultimately, like if he doesn't pick anybody, I think it's just like a way to be like, hey, we were fake nice, but just to leave that little kind of like leash out there, just in case if we might, maybe want to change our mind. I'll just kind of leave it at that for now. But I mean, I always love DJ. I always love Brooks, especially for the competitive side of things. So I'm not mad at all if Zach is just like, yo, like, We're going to Italy. We're trying to repeat. Like, we need the guys. Like, I don't know what to tell you, boss. And just kind of like supersedes everything that the PGA was even talking about. Because at one point, remember, we all had a firm line where it was like, absolutely not. And now we're all teetering, and it's kind of like, I don't know, man. That's like the bro. Like, that's the homie. Like, how could you ever just leave DJ out? It's like our
Well,
friend.
yeah, the Masters brought them back all together, and I think it kind of conjured up some of the better, feelings. Because at the end of
Exactly.
the day, it allowed them to separate the people from the actions, and they were able to kind of get those old feels back. So,
Yeah.
hell, who knows? I mean, it's a long way out. It's going to be a long year, and so we're looking at 6 months until we get there.
Yeah. I mean, we got let's see, it's yeah, we still got a strong 4 or 5 months. I mean, like I think it's August or like right before playoffs that they have to solidify who's gonna be their captain's picks or whatever. So just so like it's not teetering at the end.
Yeah,
I think the eight are set by points on its own, and then the captain comes up with his solidified list like later on in the playoffs, something like that. We'll look it up and
yeah,
put it up on our next
yeah,
show.
yeah. For those next four spots. So yeah, so that's what happened in the professional golf world this week. But also, just a side story, talking about Matt Fitzpatrick, he also had some comments related to slow play, and just that he said it's truly appalling, but nobody's going to do anything about it. He was on a podcast and just really bared his soul on this topic, and I think it was. I don't know, man. I feel like Matt Fitzpatrick is winning theoretically and realistically. I mean, he's winning tournaments
Yeah,
these last couple of years, and then just also speaking to what plagues the game of golf. And slow play is one of those things that we both hate. Most golfers hate slow play, but inevitably you end up with, if you have four golfers, somebody's going to be below the pace that everybody else is playing. It just always tends to be like that. They're also not aware of it, and so
yeah,
because if they were aware of it, theoretically they'd fix it. But it was just good to see him step up and voice his frustrations with it. We talked about this last week with Brooks Koepka. We like kind of some golf drama, right? For
yeah.
guys to just speak their mind and not have these highly manicured interviews. So, what are your thoughts on Matt Fitzpatrick kind of stepping up to the place outside of his norm? Right, he's
Yeah.
usually pretty laid back, but he kind of went at it directly this week. What do you think about that, man?
Yeah, I mean, we harped on it that week when we were talking about the Masters, the results. Matt Fitzpatrick prides himself on being a very analytical person, knows his numbers, knows what he can and cannot do. So you see him a little bit more prepared. He makes his pre-shot routine very not even hurriedly. He does it while other players are, getting ready for their shots so that he's ready to play when it's his go. I feel like that's one of the honorable things to do that everybody could be more self aware about. And again, just like what you said, everybody wants to play at a smooth to fast race. So I think it's something that even regular hacks can even gravitate towards. So, like today was a perfect example, a sidebar to a sidebar, if you will. So, today we had a little bit of weather in the area for Houston. So, a lot of people flaked out. A lot of people were asking questions like, "Hey, what's it going to be like? Is it car path only? Is it 90 degrees?" Because this all affects the pace of play. So, the guys that do come in, the guys that do tend to show up, and they're like, "Let's give it a go." You can tell those guys as a positive. Hey, a lot of guys flaked out, a lot of guys grabbed rain checks or just canceled altogether. That's going to allow you to play faster and get through the weather if it does happen. Things like that. That's what people gravitate towards. When you can literally harp at your course like, hey, we're playing at this pace, we stay at this pace, we have marshals and starters that keep us on this pace. Those are the type of things that people love. So I feel like
Yeah,
we can when you can start saying that thing as it evolves to the PGA Tour, I think a lot more players are going to have positive things to say. I think people need to put the onus back on the PGA Tour to penalize these guys, whether they be top tier or or whether they be bottom tier or middle tier. Everybody needs the same penalization for the same BS that they do all week. There, it's just we shouldn't. If we want all the action shots in the TV, if we want not just putts to show up, if we want more interviews as they're walking down the fairways, I think if we pushed pace more, we would be able to do all these things and still fit it all in 3 hours of TV time. And I'll have it
Yeah.
live, not tape recorded, not pre-recorded, things like that. So I think Matt Fitzpatrick is on the right side of history here. I think more people need to
Yeah.
step up and say more.
And I think there's now a history, not a history, but a precedent in sports with baseball now coming with the pitch clock, and
Love it.
games seem to be moving a lot faster in baseball as well. And guess what? You tried it out on the lower level, and it just comes down to enforcement. So if you had people enforcing the rule that's on the books or shortening the time that you have available to you before you hit your shot after your competitors are have gone off, I think the game would adjust. People hate changes initially, but when the change comes and the rule is actually enforced, like you said, evenly across the board, no exception, everybody's playing under the same rules, people will
Yep.
adjust. And at the end of the day, they're pros. They should be able to figure out a pre-shot routine that's able to accommodate the new rules. So I agree. It's just got to be enforced, and people have to be serious about it. But this is now the second or third week in a row that it's been discussed and put on the front street. And if more people continue to speak out, it's going to become an issue that is unavoidable to address.
Yep.
This is another random one that kind of came up in the middle of my week, and it's in line with this, but it's a little bit adjacent. Speaking of our boy Brooks, I don't know when this clip surfaced and the timing of it. I'll look it up later at some point when I post the clip of this particular segment. But he was speaking about he spaces out between holes 5 and 14. He thinks golf is too long, and I'm assuming he was talking to an interviewer that isn't some big golfer, or I mean, just somebody that's kind of like a casual golfer. So he said holes if they shorten golf to like 14 or 15 holes, it'd be a much better game. He's like, at the beginning you focus in, you're set on your plan and you start playing, and then he's like, I just space out mentally, and then when you start rolling down to the end of your round, you start getting refocused on what's going on. I
Hmm.
kind of call BS on that. I love Brooks, but his whole nonchalant
Thank you.
as mindset about golf aggravates the crap out of me sometimes and gives permission for people to say, yeah, I get it. He's so non-traditional about the game. I thought that was a BS take. Where are you at with that? That 5 through 14 is kind of wishy-washy, and golf should either be cut down for let's say 4 holes down to
Yeah.
14 holes. What do you
I
think?
I definitely think that was him talking out the side of his mouth. That's very stupid. I mean, you're talking to a guy that has thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of rounds under his belt. Yeah, it's kind of ho hum to you, but not for the regular everyday golfer. I focus in on every shot possible because I'm trying to get as good as I can and play as proficiently and as good as I can every time out. That has nothing to do with what hole is this or what hole is that. I'm trying to worry about every hole. I don't know where he's coming from that. I don't I don't
I don't
I don't
know.
see I don't see his standpoint or his point of view at all.
And dude, I get it. Like courses to me, like he's like, oh, the holes are all the same. I get it. There are some courses that it feels like there's very little variation.
Exactly.
What was that old school course, Firestone? Like I always felt like Firestone was like the same hole over and over again, especially when they
Hmm.
did the overhead shots. But most courses, there's a lot of variation from hole to hole that you have to focus in on what type of shot that you're hitting, and just hitting it straight isn't always the answer, right? And so I don't
Hmm.
know. I just felt like that was such a crappy take, and I'm a huge proponent of people that have platforms being responsible for their platforms. And while I like people being outward and open about their thoughts, I wish they were thought through a little bit more before you go on some random podcast and spout some crap about the legacy of golf, which you start playing 14 holes, scoring records change, and
Right.
some things have to remain the same. I'm all about things getting better and progressing with the times and rules adjusting as we go along, but not cutting down the length of the game. It's like, let's play a 45-minute football game. No, it just
Right.
doesn't make sense at all. Let's start playing professional baseball at 7 innings and have the mercy rule on the professional level.
Right.
No, it doesn't make sense. So, um, you kind of mentioned earlier talking about your course and the weather and cancellations. Um, I sent you an article. Just it kind of got my brain thinking about a couple different things about working in the golf industry. So you are, somebody that works at a golf course in and around golf, and so you see some of the good and bad aspects of golf. From let's start off on the positive because we are positive people. What are some good things that you see in your interactions with patrons, or just working, the benefits of working around golf?
Yeah. I think overall there is a lot of well intentioned people that are involved in golf now. I feel like the younger crowd is a little bit rambunctious about it, so they don't always go about it the correct way or the traditional way, but you still see the enthusiasm that they, invoke and everything. So I think it's so refreshing to see it, especially when it comes into the shop in every form or fashion, whether it be the 60-year-old guy that picked it up after he retired from his day job, or the 16 or 15-year-old kid that's like, I've been playing golf for 3 or 4 years. My high school has a team, so I've been trying to get better and better for that. So you see a lot of different aspects and a lot of different, focus points for it. I feel like that is one of the best things I see. And like when you come into the shop, you can tell it. You can tell the excitement, and it's like, I've never been here before to the course. So you feel like you actually have add some value to their day. You tell them a little bit about the course. You tell them how to play it. You tell them where everything's at. And if you need anything else or if you have any more questions, just feel free to come back by and we'll give you a rundown. Or if you have any questions about something going on, then we'll tell you to the best of our knowledge. And I feel like me being at a two course facility where we have an 18 on one side and an 18 on another side that play kind of like polar opposites. We have a lake style course and a link style course. I feel like it provides a little bit of variation for that. So when
Yeah,
you have a course where you can keep events on that's closer to the clubhouse and then still have a public play side, it just provides, a little bit more business and busyness to your day to keep it everything streamlined, keep you, I would say focused, because not gonna lie to you, when we just have tea times, it's kind of a lull. It's kind of like boring. It's like, after doing so many events and seeing 300 people in 2 hours, it's just like, oh, I mean, we just got 300 tea times today. Like, that's nothing compared to
yeah,
what you're used to dealing with. So I think I have a unique standpoint because we do have 36 holes at our facility, but more
no doubt.
times than not, I feel like it's so fun to see people come in and be excited about the game again, rather than your old man that's like, I don't have anything else to do. I'm playing Monday through Thursday when there's a senior rate, and I can play at this time whenever I would like with all my old man friends, and they make the game miserable. And they're like, yeah, this is my name. I played here before. I know where I'm going.
Right,
Uh,
they act like they own a part of the course, right?
and so like that drains you, because it's like, I don't even want to talk to you either. It's like you do your general politeness, like, yep, I see you prepaid, or like, what's your last name, let me get you checked in, and then I'll get you right on your way, sir. Like, I don't want you in here as much as you don't want to be in here, so we can go down a two-way street. If you want more information, I got you. If you want less, please dip, go out of here, get out of here. I'm gonna send you on your
Yeah.
way. So,
And y'all have a pretty nice clubhouse as well. So it's not some rinky dink facility. You have a decent locker. I mean, a really good locker room. It's probably better than most. Y'all have showers there, and it's a nice place to hang out and go golf and and spend time. So it's definitely unique. And as you mentioned, y'all also have a pretty decent range facility as well, which we've talked off air that, yeah, there's improvements that could be made. But all in all, when you compare it to probably most ranges that are out here, it's above tier.
Yeah.
And even in that, you mentioned some things that you didn't like. But what are some of the things about playing or working at a golf course, excuse me, that are the worst that you just absolutely, know are coming, but you dread it every time and it doesn't get any better?
Yeah, unfortunately, so we have a limited membership now, I would say. We used to have a little bit of a more broader membership, kind of like a half membership, or like not everybody was a full member, but everybody that's a member now is a full member. So I feel like in that aspect, feel like sometimes it's a little bit annoying because they have, as we mentioned, a false sense of ownership, like as if they're $350 a month is really what's keeping the lights on at the golf club. So I just feel like it's a little bit on the annoying side. I'm gonna be as respectful as possible because we still have I feel like we have about a 50-50 split of great members compared to like members that I would say need to work on themselves a little bit. Because you have the members that are understanding, the members that are no problem, let me know when I can fit it in. Because a lot of the members, show up when they can and when they want to. So if you're showing up later in the day when you know it's slowed down and you can just kind of jump around and stay out of the way, no problem. But if you're not doing as we ask you to do, staying off a course that has maintenance, staying off a course that has an event finishing up, and things like that, where you feel like you can still jump out because you're a member and jump out in the middle of their tournament or in the middle of a closed off course, that's the things that get to me. And then of course,
Wow.
you deal with regulars. Regulars aren't always on, aren't always in the best of moods either. You come in and they're like, "Yep, I have 3 tee times today. It's me, such and such, such and such, such and such." And we're like, "Yep, we got you here. Here's all your tee times. Does that make sense?" Da 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 da. Yep, we do this every week. And so, like, they get a little bit spoiled. They get a little bit. So when we are receiving, things like recently with COVID and everything, everybody in the golf industry has received a positive boom. Everybody has started to get a little bit more on the revenue side. So when things like that come up, we need to do better jobs of upkeep in the facilities. So unfortunately, that comes with charging a little bit more money so that we can keep the course looking as good as it was before a lot of people started showing up, before the course got more popular. So when rates change and when things are not always included, or when your buddy that's always at the counter hooks you up and now somebody else new because we need more workers aren't giving you the same rates, then all of a sudden it's a problem. Like you didn't save thousands of dollars throughout the year and you can't spring 20 extra dollars one time or not. So things
Right. Because
like
you're no
that,
longer getting the hookup.
exactly. Things like that are just little things that add up because it's not just one or two players. All of a sudden, it's like 20 players. And then, like I was telling you earlier, things like that get draining. It's like, we do this every weekend. I told you the rate. We upped the rate already. I explained to you how long ago we changed the entrance. I explained to you how long ago we changed the nines. The scorecards are always on the table. Like things like that. Oh,
Yeah.
y'all have an ATM? It's across the breezeway over by the bar and grill where it always is. Y'all got a Bev cart? Sir, it is Saturday at 8 a.m. Of course we have a beverage cart, sir.
Right. And y'all have so many rounds going out there. I mean, I don't know. It's just, a little bit of perspective helps on the customer side to say, I get it. You want special treatment. You want to be treated as an individual human. But when you're running two courses simultaneously, look, I can't afford to give you all the TLC in the world every single time that you come out
Absolutely.
because that's going to be at the detriment of our other patrons and their experience is going to be harmed as a result of you or you showing up for unscheduled tea times trying to jump in front of people.
Exactly.
It's a horrible experience for all. So there was a Reddit discussion posted that Um, I found this week, and it was a guy that had been working at a golf course for about a month. And so he just said, "Hey, here are my observations as someone who's new to working at a golf course." And I'll read through them and I'll go through the first five. And you just, after I finish the sentence, just say whether you agree, disagree, and if you want to
Yeah.
elaborate, go ahead. So, number one, 98% of golfers are the best, which I think you've already mentioned. I do my best to make sure you're taken care of on the golf course and you make my life easy and entertaining. Fair? 98%?
Our course maybe like 90%, but yeah, a fair amount are for sure
Okay.
very enjoyable, easy to work with, understanding. Fair amount for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Um,
100%.
every every time I answer the phone and someone says, "I'm just curious," 100% of the time, the next words out of their mouth is, "When did you guys or are you guys aerating?" He said he found that funny. So outside of, let's say, if I call to make a tea time, I call to make a tea time. But outside of that, what are your other calls primarily involved? Is it about aeration or course conditions, car path only, that kind of stuff? Or do you get some random crazy calls?
Yes to both. So, so a lot of people don't realize that we have two event seasons. So we have a short one in the fall. It's kind of like September, October, a little bit of November up until Thanksgiving, and then holidays, of course. So you don't want to be running events when you can just get holiday pay. And then our main one, which is spring, the best weather that Texas has, or the least volatile and the least and the most welcoming, from March all the way until June. So predominantly 3.5 months. So um, when people call to ask it for air rating, it's the most frustrating thing ever because if we're air rating and making greens unplayable or at a discounted rate in the middle of event season where tournament hosts and people that are paying us tens of thousands of dollars to rent out a course and have our facilities and have those greens aerated, that does not look good at all. Why would we do that?
Yeah.
So to me, that's a frustrating question. And then always another one that I get a lot is yeah, and this is on a tangent, but this is a part of the group of players that's both young and excitable and want to get out, but also a part of the annoying part because they feel like they're owed everything. It's such a fine, minute little space, but the guys that come out with their girlfriends and want extra carts just so they can ride along with them, brother.
Yeah.
We have 400 rounds. It is a Saturday. It is 80 degrees with no wind, no rain, and it's clear blue skies. We do not have an allotment of carts for you and your shorty to just be hanging out while we're trying to get rounds in.
Yo,
Like,
so speaking of that, so yesterday was an amazing day in Dallas, and same thing. The course I played in, we were kind of midday, so it was around 11 o'clock. Ended up scheduling
phenomenal
some
weather.
later tea times. Phenomenal. Guess what? There was like two carts left when we got our groups together, and I think I got the second to last one. And yeah, man. I mean, when you think about the logistics of that, yeah, you're gonna charge half a cart, but you're also slowing down the schedule because
Hmm.
of not having cart availability. So if you were supposed to go off, you're waiting for somebody to come off 18, clean up the cart real quick, charge it up, gas it up, whatever you got to do to get it back in order for
Yep.
somebody. And yeah, man, I get it. I know why that's frustrating. That is not. That's kind of like also bringing a kid out that's just learning the game in the weekend. Don't do that. You know these there's there's guys that are out there living for this weekend round. Take your kid out in the middle of the week after
Right.
work one day, especially in the summer when the hours change. Be more realistic and considerate of your fellow golfers, but maybe that's what we're dealing with these days, where there's just a complete lack of consideration for others around us.
That's a
We'll
lot of it.
we'll kill that right there. So next one, he said he's had to tell a couple groups to get off the cart path when it's cart path only, or get off the fairway when it's cart path only. You're not a marshal. You don't ever have to serve that role, right?
No, but we do in cases where where they're not listening to the marshals, we do have to come out of the pro shop and talk to guests or When we've done it in past when we've been shorthanded, of course, like I said, with the turn of
Hmm.
events through COVID and stuff where we have extra money and stuff like that. We've been able to hire more marshals, keep them longer, been able to, circumvent that issue. But yes, we've had to go out before. I've had to be a starter. You know me, Rod. I've done pretty much every aspect of golf course, golf club that there is. I've
Yeah.
done special orders during events. I've done drinks. And of course, I've done food before. So all that stuff is not foreign to me. So yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I think the most important thing though is again, set boundaries. So like if we tell you in the shop multiple times throughout introducing you to the facility and what we provide, and then the marshal catches you on the grass after we've told you, and we've had multiple signs that say car path only, I think you get a warning. And then if we catch you again, I think you need to take it on home, bud, because it's really just at this point, you're just disrespecting the course and the amount of money that everybody's paid to keep it in this condition. So that's why we're a
Yeah.
little bit more stringent on that type of deal. So our course, we have car path only signs on the little register table right as you're signing in, and it's not even a foot from where you plug in your card or tap your card to process the payment, or where we give you the receipt and the car key. It's literally all within a window of about a foot and a half. So you don't have any reason to believe that we didn't tell you that it was carpet only, or that you didn't
Yeah.
see any verbiage of it being carpet only. And again, you have our number. You call us for so many pedantic things, anyways. Call us and find out. So
Yeah.
again, there is no reason for you to not know if it's CPO or 90 degrees.
So that's interesting. So like this weekend on the Corn Ferry Tour, a couple of players were dismissed or disqualified from their rounds due to missing a sign or a lot of documentation around taking carts from one hole to the other. It was allowed on a couple holes. So this is very interesting with golfers,
Mhm.
just humans in general, what they see, what they choose to not
What
see.
they choose to not
Um,
see. Yep.
yeah. So that's very interesting. Um, we're gonna have to do this in two like segments because this is it's pretty deep, and there's a lot that goes into running the golf course. So we're on number 4. He said I've had 3 or 4 unicorn days. It's what I call when the weather is really bad until about a couple hours before closing, and then you're able to go out and get a round in after all the scheduled tee times are there or the course is kind of slow. Have you? I'm sure you've had this where you've been able to go out and get a round in unexpectedly due to just some lucky weather.
No, actually
Okay.
not. I mean, I wish we had situations like that, but like at our facility, as soon as like we get some bad weather in, if people are coming off the course, as soon as all the carts are in, we're shutting it down. We're getting out the facility, we're locking up the
Yeah.
front gates, because there's no need for us to be there, waste time, waste money. And especially again, not to harp on it, but we're in event season. So it's a lot of long hours, a lot of long days. So like when we get a chance to shut it down early or something like that, we're gonna take every opportunity to do that. The girls are
Yeah.
trying to leave early, the outside services trying to leave early, the pro shop guys who got to stay until everybody leaves the facility are trying to leave early too. And now,
That kind of
now
sucks. Let me
it
ask you
does.
this, not to break off your tangent, but I just want to ask you a question. So it's, I think this might apply to like most industries that even if it's something that you love, there are parts of the game that it's or parts of the business that make you not love it as much. Have you found that kind of aspect of it? Like you love playing golf,
Yeah.
but like you said, if it's the opportunity to get the heck out of there, you're gonna get the heck out of there. Have you found any struggles being so close to it with your love of the game waning, or is it just something that comes and goes?
Yeah, it's some I would feel like it's more something that comes and goes, because I feel like there's times when I absolutely woke up with golf on my mind that morning. I'm gonna work my shift, And then if I get out any early, or even if I have to stay the full shift, I feel like it's a time where I want to just at least be able to play 9, go get some reps in, something like that, and I'll be passionate enough to keep it rocking. Other days, it's like you run into some customers that, don't do as or as. You run into a bunch of butt heads, or in my position where I'm kind of a supervisor over the outside service and things like that, where you have to deal with a bunch of like maintenance issues or something such happened at the range. It's kind of like I don't even want to be in this. I don't want to be in the vicinity of this anymore. So I'm gonna go home, or I'm gonna go somewhere else. Like, I don't mind going over to Memorial Park. That's like where they play. Where I don't know if they'll play it anymore, but where they play the Houston Open, and I'll go hit balls there, clear my mind, get a chance to relax for a little bit, then go over there, go to their range. It's covered, it's lit. They stay open a little bit later than us, and I'll go over there to their facilities and
Just
hit a few
because
balls.
it's not one you're responsible for, and it's you're able
Correct.
to, I guess, separate from your day to day. All right,
Absolutely.
last one, and we'll split this one into part two. The people that come in late, walk 9 holes at the end of the day, are the most fun to golf with. Always laid back, good people, decent at golf as well. I know you said you don't get to play a lot at your own course, which is
Mhm.
unfortunate. But are your late afternoon, probably weekday folks the most chill amongst the group that you experience?
Um, Again, yes and no. Like I feel like a lot of that is no though. I mean, because again, we're like a hidden gem. So a lot of people are just like kind of finding out about us that are like in the Houston Metroplex.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's really interesting how many people that we see a day that are like, I've never played here before. Like I've never like until a few months ago, I've never even heard of y'all. And like you've been to the property, so you know how kind of ducked off it
It's
is,
set back,
but
yeah.
it's a little bit hidden, but I mean 36 holes, a lot of events, you would figure a lot of people have heard of it before. But to get back to the point though, I feel like it really just depends. Like when we're in fall season and last tee time is like 3 o'clock, 3:30, feel like it's a little bit more of the golf purists. They're like, oh, I know it gets dark at like 5:30, like it's no problem. I'll get in as many as I can. And when you need me in or when it starts to get dark, I'll be in, no problem. Feel like we get a lot of those. During the summer, however, when everybody's trying to get out and experience summer golf, it gets dark at 9, as they say, which it doesn't. They always come out and it's the hacks. They take too long. They don't have the etiquette of like it's sunset. Please bring the carts in. They think they can play until 9:15, 9:30 in pitch black with not it's like there this is the type of stuff that I was talking about where there's no consideration, where you don't I it's just I don't know what planet they think they're on where they can just do these types of things. But yeah, I feel like it really just depends on what season we're in. And
Okay.
again, even members are like that too. We'll have members come out and try to shoot out real late, play 9, play as many as they can, and more times than not they're super understanding. But then there's the members that are like that, and one in particular we're not going to name drop, we're not even going to get into
No,
any,
no, no, no.
you know the drill. But comes out 5:30. Last tee time's 5, so we're already almost putting up all the carts anyways for us to start shutting it down. Kind of concluding things, and he's like, "Oh, can I get a card? I'm a member," and starts throwing that type of stuff out. And it's like, now, if you're a member, when we stop sending
Right.
people
You
out.
should know the rules. You know the protocol.
So things like that kind of get aggy to me. But more times than not, again, we have a lot of good members that know the situation. And they're like, hey, I know, like, if y'all need me to come in, I don't mind coming in. Like, if you need to come get me, such and such. I even have a few members' numbers, and they're like, hey, just text me, just call me when you kind of getting down to the like the little bit of your carts that you have left, and I'll come in, no problem. And that's the refreshing stuff you see and feel. That's like, dang, you know what? Maybe golf industry isn't that bad. You got nice guys like that. So
Yeah.
again, it's just you have your days and you don't have your days when it comes like that. So we
All
can go
right.
about this for definitely another show. So
Yeah,
let's
we'll
load it
we'll
up.
we'll we'll split the list in half, and we'll come back to this. Um, we've been at it for a while. Appreciate you if you joined and watched. Like I said, look for the clips. We'll be back next week, hopefully with some more golf talk. This is a bit of a, even with the LPGA major, this is a bit of a slower golf week with the news and just light overall. So we'll catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.